my name's Sheila and this video is to accompany the manual for MIDISID. If you've arrived here and don't know what this is MIDISID. It contains two SID chips, or modern recreations, the SID being the sound chip from the Commodore 64 1982 home computer. The SID had some advanced synthesizer features, one of those being ring modulation. Ring modulation is an effect produced by combining two frequencies. It can produce some interesting and unusual sounds. The waveform of each signal, the difference in frequency and whether or not they're harmonically related will all affect the result. With MIDISID we use the monophonic mode because that's the mode which combines voices for a single note. For a start I'm going to make sure that filtering is off and that all voices are set to triangle wave. As we have 3 voices per SID, we have the option to ring modulate 2 of the voices and leave the third clean, or ring modulate all 3 of the voices together. For me, that's the point where I lose any comprehension of what's going on. Feel free to turn everything on, mash the settings and see what happens, but for the purposes of this video I'm going to set voice 2 to modulate with voice 1 and mute voice 3. Each voice has its own switch for ring modulation. The manual tells you how these are combined. Voice 2 is modulated with voice 1, voice 3 with voice 2 and 1 with 3. For this demo I'm going to combine 1 and 2, which means going into the parameters for voice 2 and switching on ring. Waveform sync is another topic that we'll ignore for today. And then mute voice 3. Regardless of which voice you're configuring, the 3 in the corner indicates whether voice 3 is muted, and you can switch that with rotary knob 4. So, after all of that, we hear very little difference because both voices are playing at the same frequency. There is a difference, it gives the sound an edge, and we can already hear other frequencies in there. The real magic happens when the 2 voices are at different frequencies, and we can do this by detuning one of the voices. This means that regardless of which note we play, the frequency of our 2 voices will be apart by this number of cents. A cent being 1/100th of a semitone and 1200 cents being an octave. We can drift the frequencies apart by a cent at a time, by 8 cents at a time, or 1200 cents at a time. As we start to adjust the frequencies, we hear this beating, which is similar to the beating when 2 frequencies are out of tune. As we go further, that becomes a 3rd frequency, which you can sometimes hear quite distinctly. At a certain point we get this bell-like sound, which is the kind of thing that you may think of with ring modulation. Remember that at this point the 2 waves that we're combining are both triangle waves. Changing those 2 waveforms can dramatically affect the sound that we get. Back up 1 step takes me to this voice's parameters, and here we can try the different waveforms. Further to that, I can play with the ADSR envelope and add a filter sweep. I like that sound. At this point, I can't remember exactly what my settings are, but no problem. I can just hit the 4th button and save this sound in one of my memory slots. I'll leave you with a few ring modulation sounds that I've found today.